Good afternoon. Welcome, everyone. And the especially welcome is for Ms. Nora Diaz for her precious time that she gives to us. And I will introduce her in a few lines. Ms. Nora Diaz holds a degree in English language teaching and translation. She is a full-time published English-Spanish translator and translation team leader, working for clients located around the world on a daily basis, translating, editing, or proofreading content on a wide variety of topics, including healthcare, legal, technical, and general texts, and leading teams of linguists, including translators, editors, and proofreaders from Mexico, South America, and Spain, working together on large projects. Her interest in productivity has led to a constant exploration of technology to boost productivity, such as CAT tools, speech recognition, and custom macros. In her blog, Nora Diaz on translation, teaching, and other stuff, she shares what she has learned with translators from around the globe. We welcome you with us, dear Nora. We are so happy that you are doing this workshop together, and we are all ears, and the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Thank you, first of all. Thank you for the invitation to be here today. I am honored to have this opportunity to speak to all of you. I am speaking, thank you. I'm speaking to you from northern Mexico, from Chihuahua. So it's wonderful to know that even though we are so far together, so far apart, we are together today to talk about topics of common interest.
We have
so I'm going to start. Yes, so I'm going to start sharing my screen, if that's okay.
Yes.
And here we go. And let me just, please let me know if you can see it, if it's correct. And we are going to talk about Hotkey today for non-programmers. So I'm going to try to keep an eye on the chat for any interaction that you may have. If I miss anything, I will try and go back to that. But please let me know, do you know what Hotkey is and what it can do for you? Oh, thank you. I see a message in Spanish in the chat. That's very kind. Okay. No. So if you don't know what Hotkey is, this is going to be an eye-opener, I hope, and it's really going to boost your productivity. First of all, let me say that even though we're going to be talking about some programming, yes, Irina. Oh, hi, Irina. Nice to have you here. And yes, it is a life changer. So let me say that you don't have to be a programmer. I am not an engineer, I'm not a programmer, and I learned how to use Hotkey for my purposes, and it didn't take very long. So if I was able to do it, I am more than certain that you can do the same thing. So let's get started right away. This is going to be very practical. So I'm going to actually be sharing things with you on the chat that you can copy and use and everything, but I will let you know when that happens. So first of all, what is Hotkey? I have to say, to answer the question that comes up often when we talk about Hotkey is only available for Windows. It's not available for Mac. So if you're a Mac user, this unfortunately does not apply. But Hotkey is a free open source scripting language for Windows that allows users to easily create small to complex scripts for all kinds of tasks, such as form fillers, auto-clicking, macros, and so on. And this comes directly from the Hotkey website. That's the definition. So what I want us to understand, first of all, is that this is not a program, it's a scripting language. So we are going to create our own scripts, our own little programs, and it's very easy to do. What can Hotkey do for you? These are just some reviews that I found online, but the one that I would like us to read is this one here, the last one. It says, save time, keystrokes, and mouse clicks by making your own customized shortcuts. Lift the burden of repetitive tasks like typing email replies by doing them for you. It doesn't mean that it will do it automatically, but we have lots of examples today to help you understand what this can do for you. So let me ask you, first of all, to think about some phrases or words that you type all the time. For example, are there some phrases, for example, when you receive an email from a client offering you a job, how do you reply? Do you use formulaic language? Do you use boilerplate phrases that you type out all the time? And I always like to ask people, if you have a complicated last name, for example, or a long name, do you ever get tired of having to type out your name or your email address? And so if the answer to that is yes, and it happens, then this is really going to make a difference for you in a matter of minutes. So let's see how this works. Think about some of those phrases or words that you type all the time, because as I said, I want this to be very practical. And if you are going to be following some of these things that we're going to do today, then you can put those phrases or words that you type out all the time into practice today. The first, we're going to talk about two things when it comes to AutoHotkey. We can create hot strings and we can also create hotkeys. We're going to start with hot strings. This is the official name, but they are basically, hot strings are basically abbreviations that you can expand. So let's see how that works. I'm going to show you a video of the hot strings in practice, in use actually. And before I do that, I would like to explain something. This is the structure of the hot strings, and I will explain where you have to put the hot strings for them to work in a little while. But first, I want you to look at the syntax. The syntax is you need a pair of colons and then the abbreviation and then another pair of colons and then the expansion. This means that when I type AK followed by a punctuation sign, any of the punctuation signs, or a space, or the enter key, the word AutoHotkey will appear on my screen. This is my email address. So when I type, I don't like to type out the whole thing. So when I type NCL, my email address appears. This is something that unfortunately I've had to type out very frequently in the past year and a half. So instead of having to type out the whole name, I just type C9 and it expands into COVID-19. The same for S2 for SARS-CoV-2. This is, for example, a common error in Spanish. It's a typo, and this is the correction. So you can start to get an idea. And this is, for example, another, this is what I always write when I send files back to my clients. Please find the files attached. And so you're going to see how these work in practice. So here we go, a short video.
These hot strings will run in any application unless we specifically indicate that we want them to be limited to one application or program. So I'm going to be using Notepad for this demonstration, and I'm just going to type the abbreviations and show you how they are expanded. So here we go. That's my email. This is something that unfortunately I've had to type a lot of times recently. This one too. This is a typo that a mistake I often make when typing in Spanish. So that's an autocorrection. That's my name. This is something that I often write in emails. And this is also something that I often write in emails. Notice how the last one, this one here, actually has expands into 3 lines because it has these enter keys right here.
So that's an idea of what you can do. Now, I'm going to explain step by step how you can do this. So don't worry if it's not difficult at all. And I will give you the specific steps. And I see someone asking if you can have the PowerPoint. Yes, of course. I will share the slides with you after we're done. So then how do we go about creating hot strings? Like we said, remember a pair of colons, the abbreviation, and then the expansion. And you can have many of these abbreviations, as many as you want. So how do I create, run, and expand or add to my AutoHotkey scripts? Well, there are a few steps, but in actuality, you can get up and running in a matter of minutes, less than 5 minutes, I would say. So let's watch a quick video to explain how you can create your first script and run it.
To start creating your AutoHotkey scripts, the first thing you would need to do is go to autohotkey.com and download the program. After you download and install it, don't worry if you don't see anything open. That's normal. AutoHotkey runs in the background. The next thing you need to do is go to a folder where you want to store your scripts in it, and then select New, AutoHotkey script, and name your script. So I'm going to call this scripts expansions. The next thing is I need to add something to the script, and notice the extension AHK for the AutoHotkey script. I'm going to right click here and select Edit with Notepad++. Notepad++ is a plain text editor, but it's a bit richer than regular Notepad, and it's a free download, so you can also download that for free. This is what a new script looks like with this standard text at the top. So what you want to do is go to a new line and start writing your hot string. In this case, I'm going to write a hot string for looking forward to. So I'm going to use LFT as my abbreviation, and that's going to be my expansion. I save the script, and so far I have the script, but it's not active yet. So I need to go back to where my script is stored and double click on it. This is going to cause the script to load, and that means that it's going to, when I go to the taskbar here, I'm going to see the symbol for an AutoHotkey script, which is a white H in a green square. And you can actually have several scripts running at a time. Right here I have several of my main scripts running, and this is the one that I added. So now that it's loaded here, it's active and ready to be used. And so I just need to go to wherever I want to use the expansion. For example, I'm going to use it in Notepad. So it was LFT, and there's my expansion. Now, how do I add more things to that? Well, I simply go back to my file, which I have here in Notepad++, and I can add new abbreviations. For example, let's say that I want to add something longer. I'll be looking forward to, and it's going to be ILF. And so I save it. But the key thing here is, for me to be able to access the new abbreviations, I need to reload the script. So I need to go down here and right click on the script and say reload this script. And after I do that, then the new abbreviation will be available to me, the new expansion, and there it is. And that's how I can keep adding to the script, and remember just to reload it, and then all of those new things that you add to them will be available to you.
So as you can see, it's not very difficult, but you need to have the programs available to you, and they are all free. I have added in the chat here, I have added the links to the download for AutoHotkey and for Notepad++. And I see that there was a question about whether the session would be available to watch later, and the answer is it's being recorded and it will be uploaded to YouTube. So that's how you can create, run, and add your AutoHotkey scripts. Now, a common question is, if I have a lot of things to add, do I add them all to a single script, or do I create several scripts? And the answer is, it's a personal preference. So whatever works best for you. Of course, it wouldn't make sense to have a script with only one line, but sometimes we separate scripts for a number of reasons. Now, hot strings, like I said, are used for text expansion. Remember, the hot string syntax is a pair of colons, the abbreviation, another pair of colons, and then the expansion. But I want to clarify that hot strings can also be used for anything beyond text expansion. The only difference is that instead of having the expansion here, we create the hot string as we see it here, and then underneath that, we add the steps that we want to execute. Now, don't worry about this if it looks too complex for now. This is actually some programming, and I will say something. I did not create this script myself. I found it online, and it's so useful because it adds the date, the current date, whatever date it is, to whenever you, well, my chosen abbreviation is TD. You can choose for today's date. You can choose whatever abbreviation you want. And what it does is it places the current date. And so I use it a lot, for example, when I produce my target files before I send them to my client, or when my client wants me to share the translation memories with them, I will do an export of the translation memory, and at the end of the name of the file, I will append the current date. And instead of having to think what day is it today and then the right format, I just say TD and the date is immediately expanded. So this, I'm going to share this with you. Like I said, another way of, like I said, I'm going to share all of these scripts with you. So I'm sharing that with you right now in the chat, and you can simply copy that and paste it into your script and it will work. Because another way to have scripts is to go online and find scripts that other people have created and then using them. So I'm going to show you how that works. But before we do, I just want to say that this script, of course, it's placed in a script file, in a Notepad++ file, or a file that you can, an AHK file, actually, that I usually open in Notepad++. And this semicolon, I wanted to mention this, when we use a semicolon anywhere in the script, we can add a note after that. So you see, I have made it blue here just to see, to show the difference, but when you see the semicolon and then a note, that is not going to be interpreted as part of the script. That's notes for yourself. And so the two things that I wanted to say here is that hot strings can be used to run actions, as we see here. And I'm going to explain later that return is always the end of the mini program that we create. And you use a semicolon to comment out any content. And this becomes necessary or very useful, actually, because for me, for example, sometimes I will write a script for something I need to do at the moment, and then 3 months later, I go back and see it, and I can't remember what it was for. So I have developed a habit to add a note to say what the script does. And so you also use a semicolon to disable the hot string. If you put the semicolon here at the beginning, anything that comes after the semicolon is not executed. So if you want to disable the little program without deleting it completely, just put semicolons at the beginning of all the lines and they will be disabled. So here's an example of what TD does. I want to show you what it does because it's really very good. And there it is. And of course, it's not today's date because I recorded that video a while ago. Now, if you want to modify the format of the date, just change this, right? For example, right now it's two numbers for the month, 2 for the day, and 4 for the year. You can make it, if you make it 3, you get the full name of the month. You can put the day at the beginning, the month afterwards. You can use slashes instead of, although for file names, probably not a good idea, but slashes instead of dashes or hyphens. And so you can modify the format of the date that you want to add there. Now, here are some tips for when you are creating hot strings. So we said that a hot string is, you need to create the hot string, like we said before. Let me show you here. To a pair of columns, the abbreviation, a pair of columns, and the expansion. And then to fire the hot string, you need to press enter or space or a period or a comma, any character that is an ending character. But there are options that you can use, and these are some of the options. For example, if you place an asterisk between the first pair of columns, then you don't really need an ending character to fire the script. I'm actually going to create, let me do this. Okay, I'm going to bring here this is actually my folder where I keep my scripts. These are, there are a number of scripts in this folder. And I would recommend that you do the same, keeping all your AutoHotkey scripts in the same folder because it's easier to access them. So I'm going to create one here today, and I'm going to call it, so I go, remember, new and then AutoHotkey script. And I'm going to call it abbreviation options, just to show you the options. And so it's empty for now. So right click, edit with Notepad, and it opened on a different monitor. So here it is. Here's Notepad++, and this is the file that I've just created. So to go back to our example here, we said, let's use this one. Oh, let me do this. Let me just copy this directly into my script. And so it's going to fire without the need for an ending character. I'm going to save the script, but remember, before I can use it, I need to load it. So double click on the file, and now I go to the system tray and I see that it's loaded. I'm going to open Word, Microsoft Word, to add to do the demonstration. And I see a very good question coming in the chat. Will I remember the abbreviation that I use for each phrase? Well, I can tell you, for the things that I use very much, I definitely remember the abbreviations. Some others, sometimes I create abbreviations and then I forget about them and I need to go back and check. So yes, that's a challenge. Okay, so we said the abbreviation was TMR, and see, I didn't press anything else, only TMR, and it expands into tomorrow, right? Let's go back and add another one. So we said, or to explain another one. If you add a question mark, let me make this a little bit bigger, but I want to be able to copy from here. If you add a question mark in between the first pair of columns, then the hot string will be triggered even when it's inside another word. Okay, so I'm going to add this one. This is a common, this is one that I use in Spanish because CION, when a word ends in CION in Spanish, it always takes an accent. So that's a good one too. And let me just make sure that that's correct. But I just copied it, added it here to my script, and I need to reload the script. So go to the system tray, right click and reload the script. And so, for example, if I say, if I write any word that ends in CION, for example, like that, when I press an ending character, in this case, I'm going to press a comma. Then it gets changed, even though this is part of the string, it's part of the word, it's not a full word, because I'm using the modifier or the option of the question mark, then it triggers even when it's inside another word. Another option is, and I'm not going to demonstrate all these, but let me just go back there. Another option is when you use B0, the abbreviation you type won't be erased. For example, in these two examples, when I type TMR, that gets replaced with tomorrow, or CION gets replaced with CION with the accent. But this one, for example, if I use this option B0 and my abbreviation is Nora dot or Nora period, then I can get, actually this is, sorry, let me just go back here. There's a mistake here. I don't want that to happen. I want only the end to be added to my string, right? So I will type out Nora dot, and then when the abbreviation expands, this will be added after Nora dot, but Nora dot will not be deleted. It won't be erased. So the abbreviation you type won't be erased. This one, oh, sorry, this option, the capital C, is to make the string case sensitive. So for example, in this one, you see the string is capital W, small e, capital T. And so that expands into we transfer. And if I write the word wet, just the regular word wet, nothing will happen. So that's case sensitive. The little O will omit the ending character. This means that, for example, when I expand my email address with NCLP, for example, if I don't have the O here, if I use a space, for instance, to trigger the expansion, a space is added after the expansion. Or if I use a comma to trigger the expansion, a comma is added after the expansion. But I don't want that to happen. I want the expansion to be there without the ending character. So I will just add the O. I use this because I use this expansion for my email into whenever I have to type in my email in websites, for example, and having the extra space is always a problem. So this makes sure that there is no extra space. You can use an R to send the replacement text raw. I will explain what this means. For example, as we're going to see in a couple of minutes, in AutoHotkey, some characters have special uses, and one of them is the exclamation point. The exclamation point represents the Alt key on your keyboard when you are creating scripts for AutoHotkey. So if you write an expansion like this, thank you, exclamation point, but you don't add the R here, then this will not trigger. This is going to be interpreted as you pressing the Alt key on your keyboard instead of the actually sending the exclamation point, typing it out. But if you add the R here, then all of this is in it literally, and no special characters are interpreted. So use that whenever you're going to use special characters. Now, which are the special characters? I'm going to give you a list. So these are the options to create your own hot strings. Now I see a question here. What if an abbreviation stands for like 2 or 3 different phrases? How can we differentiate them? It's not possible to use the same abbreviation for different phrases. You have to pick. However, as we're going to see in a little while, you could have the same abbreviation in different programs doing different things. So you can make them program specific. That you can do. Repeat the explanation of the O. Yes, and I can actually show you an example. That's probably easier. So the O will omit the ending character. Let me show you. I'm going to create or add here to the script first without the O, so you see what happens. So that's going to be my expansion for my email. I'm going to save the script and reload it. Oh, sorry, I don't need to do that. I need to go here and reload the script. And so it doesn't have the O now. And look at what happens. When I do that, there is a space at the end because I use the space bar to trigger the abbreviation, right? And so I use the space to trigger the abbreviation, so the space is added. If I use, for example, a comma to trigger the abbreviation, the comma is added. When I make it so that there is an O here to omit the ending character, I just added the O, save the script, reload the script so that the latest changes are applied. And I go back here. Now I say, I'm going to use a comma to trigger the abbreviation, but the comma is gone. See, it's not included. So the ending character is omitted. And now I'm going to trigger it with a space bar. I'm going to press the space bar, but there is no extra space at the end, see? And so that's what omitting the ending character means. Okay, and the C, explain the C. Yes, of course. Let me copy the example for the C. That means it's case sensitive. And let me add it here. For example, I'm going to remove the C. Right now, there are no options, so that's just the regular abbreviation. I'm going to reload the script and go back here. If I type the word wet and then enter or spacebar, I get wheat transfer. But notice how I typed wet like this. If I type it like this, same thing. So, but I don't want that because I need the word wet for whenever I need to write wet. So I want the expansion for wheat transfer to use this option that is called case sensitive. So I will add the C here. And that means that if I want to get the expansion, I have to type it exactly like this, right? It has, let me see if I can make that bigger. Yes. So it will be case sensitive. Okay, so I have saved the script. I'm going to reload it. And I'm going to go back to Word here. And now if I type wet, just the word wet and space, nothing happens. If I type wet like this, nothing happens. But if I type it case specific, as I had the abbreviation, which is like this, now I get the expansion. Does that help? So these options are very good in helping us differentiate those things. Right, so these are the options that we have for our head strings. That means that gives you a lot of options, right? Because you can create regular head strings, you can use these options, you can combine options, because for example, if you want to combine an ending character is not required and head string will be triggered even when inside another word, just put an asterisk and a question mark in between the first pair columns. Now, I was saying earlier, when someone was asking, can I use the same abbreviation for different things? You can't in general do that, but you can. What you can do is make your head strings program specific. To give you an example, I have a few head strings that I use to send out emails to my team. And so, for example, if I have a team member whose name is Laura, I will type HLN, for example, and that types out, hi, Laura, we have a new project, blah, blah, blah. But I want that to be used only when I'm writing an email, because if I write that, for example, when I'm writing in an instant chat window or somewhere else, I don't want the expansion to trigger. So you can do that very easily. You can make your head strings program specific. And to do that, you use a little utility called Windows Spy that is included with Hotkey. This is the syntax. You just have to put this before your strings, if Winactive, and then the name of the program as it comes from Windows Spy. For example, this is an example for PowerPoint. If you want to make your strings only active in PowerPoint, then you start with the directive, # if Winactive, and then copy this and paste it here, and then enter all your strings here that you want to be program specific, and then close with if Winactive. Let me show you how that works with this little video.
To get information about the active window for a program that you want to use in a script, you can use the Windows Spy. To access the Windows Spy, go to any of your scripts that are running and right-click on it, and you will find this here, Windows Spy. Click on that, and that opens this little utility. After you do that, you can go to any program. For example, here I have Microsoft Word open. Click on that, and after I do that, I get all this information here. And this is the information that I need to make my script program specific. And there's additional information here that I can use for other purposes in my scripts. If I go, for example, to SDL Trados Studio here, you will see here the name, the official name of the program that I should use to make my scripts specific for SDL Trados Studio, and some additional information that I can use for other things in other scripts.
So that's how you would make your scripts program specific. And I'm actually going to share with you some examples later of scripts that will run only in Trados Studio, because I made them program specific just by using this. So enclose them in these two directives and they will run there. Now in the same script, within the same, let me see, where is here. Within the same script, you can have some strings that are for one program and other scripts that are for another, or strings, sorry, hot strings. So for example, if I write here, if Winactive PowerPoint exe, and then if Winactive here at the end, these three will run only in PowerPoint, and this one will run everywhere. So only the things that are enclosed in that directive pair will run in the specific program that you have selected. Okay, so let's go back here. And we're going to see an example of how to use the Windows Spy and the if Winactive directive in a few minutes. So this is for hot strings, and right away, this is what I like to call the low-hanging fruit of Hotkey, because it is, of course, the easiest things to do, where you can just create your expansions. It's very simple, and as I was asking earlier about the text or phrases or words that you type all the time, You can immediately create your strings today for your script and run it and start benefiting from this. Now let's move on to something that is a little bit more, it combines more things, and these are hotkeys. So the first part was hot strings, which we can call abbreviations or expansions. And now we are moving on to hotkeys, which would be the equivalent of shortcuts or macros. So we're going to create hotkeys for a number of things. And AutoHotkey is a really powerful language. But like I said, I'm not an engineer, I'm not a programmer, but I learned the basics just to make my work easier. And that's what I'm going to share with you today. A few things, of course, not everything, because we don't have a lot of time. But hotkeys are used to create macros, sequences of actions, and they can go from very simple to very complex. I can do the very simple, and I can do some that are not necessarily extremely simple, but for the very complex programming, I really, I can't do it. I haven't learned enough to do it yet. But there is a great forum, an AutoHotkey forum that I go to, and whenever I have a question, I will go there and ask, and people who are actual programmers will help me. So let me start by saying that, remember I told you earlier that there are some keys that are special keys in AutoHotkey. I'm going to show you a full screen view of this in case you'd like to take a screenshot. Let me do that now. There. So if you'd like to take a screenshot of that, you can do that right now. This is a list of the keys that are special in AutoHotkey. And I just put this together because you can go to the AutoHotkey help website for help. But sometimes it's very difficult to read, especially for those of us who are not programmers, because the very basic information that we need is mixed in with more complex information that is only for programmers. So what I did was I went in and I made a list of the keys just to have them handy when I'm creating my scripts. The pound sign represents the Windows key. The circumflex accent represents the control key. The exclamation point, I had said that before, represents the Alt key. And the plus sign represents the Shift key. This is going to make sense because, of course, we're going to create shortcuts. So you know how we can create Control D, Control F, and so on? Well, we will need to use these keys for that. Now, the names of the cursor control keys are these. The scroll lock key, the delete key, the insert key, and so on. Oh, sorry, and so on. For example, the page up key, the page down key, up, down, left, right, those are the arrow keys. The wheel down and up, that's the mouse wheel, because you can also program that. The names of some general keys, these are the names. These are the names that you need to use. For example, the space bar is called space, and that's what you call it when you're using it in a script. Function keys, F1 to F24. The mouse, the left button is called L button, the right button is called R button, and the middle button is called M button. Other keys, the apps key, and let me go back to this picture I have here. The apps key is this one here, right? So in case you have that key in your keyboard, you can use it to create scripts in AutoHotkey. The numerical pad keys are different. For example, we have numpad 0 and numpad ins. It's the same key, this one. It's the same key, but it's a different name depending on whether the number lock is on or off. So we have all of those keys there. And I'm going to explain briefly here on this reference sheet how this would work on a sample script. So the structure for a hotkey script in AutoHotkey is like this. The syntax is like this. First, you select your shortcut or your hotkey. And in this case, look at the keys to help you understand what it is. For example, this is Control, that's Alt, and that's S. So the hotkey or the shortcut for this script is going to be Control, Alt, S. These are completely up to you. You select the combinations of keys that you want to use to trigger your script. And here on the right, I wrote an explanation. So this is the shortcut, Control, Alt, S. Now, the next line is send. This is the command to type things programmatically. You're not pressing the keys. You're telling the script to press the keys for you. So send Control, insert, because remember we had the insert key is called insert, and the names of the keys, all of these keys, when they are included in a script, they have to be in curly brackets. If they are not in curly brackets, then the program understands that you want to type the word insert instead of pressing the insert key. So send control insert. So this will press control insert. In SDL Trados Studio, this copies the source to the target. If you use Trados Studio, I don't know, maybe you can tell me here in the chat if you do. Then we have the next line that is a sleep command. And that means wait, it's sending a wait time to the computer so that it will take a moment before it moves on to the next line, just to give the computer time to process the commands that we're giving it. So sleep 200, that's the sleep time that I always use. It's a wait time and it means 200 milliseconds. It's really very short. If you have a super fast computer, you can reduce the sleep time. When you are troubleshooting scripts, when you want to see what the script is doing very slowly, just increase the sleep time temporarily, for example, to 2000, and then that will take 2 seconds to go from one action to the next, and you can see what's happening. And then the next line is send control enter. So press control enter. In SDL Trados Studio, this confirms the segment. And then that ends with the word return. Return always means this is the end of the script, or this is the end of this hotkey. So what does this script do? This script, as you can probably imagine, if you are a user of Trados Studio, will do 2 things, will combine 2 actions. It will press control insert and then control enter. So it will copy the source to the target and it will confirm it in 1 step. You have to press Control Alt S and all of these steps will happen. I'm going to show you examples in a little while. But that's just to give you an idea. That's what a script looks like. So all you need to do is have an idea of a sequence of actions that you want to combine, and then you can create your scripts. So is it to use, I'm not sure I understand the question. I see a question here in the chat that says, is it to use by press on each key? Maybe you can elaborate a little bit more, Yasin, so I can understand the question better. But let me go back here. And so this is the same cheat sheet that I just shared with you. And now there is another script here to show you another example of a script. So now with all the information that you know now, look at this script and you will be able to see what it does. But this introduces an additional command, which is Winactivate. And so let's start by looking at the script here. And I'm going to share this script with you in case you want to use it, actually. I will paste it in the chat so you can use it directly. You start with the directive if Winactive Acrobat exe. So this script, this example here only runs when Acrobat is active. If I press Alt-C in Acrobat, that's my hotkey, this is what will happen. The keys Control-C are going to be pressed. So send Control-C means press Control-C in the program. So send is the command, and these are the keys that I want to press. And then sleep 200, and then, so we are in Acrobat, and send Control-C, of course, will copy the selection, right? Whatever text I have selected, then it will wait, and then the next line says Winactivate. This is a command to activate another window that you have open. To send the cursor to that window, Winactivate Excel. And when you are in Excel, send Control-V and enter. And return, that's the end of the script. And this is the directive to enclose the if Winactive to make sure that it works only within that, right? Yes, Serena, exactly. Extracting text from Acrobat to Excel without having to click back and forth. And I'm going to show you a video of how that's done. So copy the text in Acrobat, go to access the text in Excel, enter to go to the next line, and then you would go back to Acrobat, or you would actually always stay in Acrobat. So I use this when I'm creating glossaries. I'm also an interpreter, and oftentimes I have to be reading, documents that are provided by the client and extracting terminology from there, and that's what I use this script for. I will show you the script in action in a moment. So this is just the keyboard, and I just wanted to say this is the regular English keyboard, and so for hotkeys we use Control, Shift, Alt, the Windows key. As modifiers, we use all of these keys up here, and we can combine with any of the other keys, of course. Yes, exactly. I see a comment here by Kabla who says, when these scripts are downloaded in our laptops, the program will know them. This will reduce the time of typing. Yes, that's the whole idea. So here we go. Well, before I show you the script for Acrobat, for Acrobat and Excel, I want to explain something. This is the directive Winactivate. You just have to type Winactivate and then the name of the program that you want to activate when you want to bring it into focus. And this is very useful because remember, you can combine different steps when you are creating your scripts. So I just want to show very briefly that, and I wanted to explain also that when you have a hotkey that is only one line, you don't need to add the return command. Or remember we said the word return has to be added at the end, always, because that means this is the end of the command or the hotkey. But if it's only one line, you don't need to add return to it. So in this case, this is when you press the Windows key and the letter N, that will activate Notepad. When you press the Windows key and the letter S, that will activate Trados Studio. And again, like I said, these are entirely up to you. You select the hotkeys. It's not like they are predetermined. You determine what key combinations you want to use. So let's have a quick look at this video. It's very short.
Now we're going to create a script with a couple of hotkeys to activate programs that are open already on the computer to bring the window into focus. I'm going to right click here in my folder where I'm creating my scripts and create a new script, and I'm just going to call this one hotkeys for now, and I'm going to right click on that, edit with Notepad, and I already have in the clipboard what I want to add, and this is going to be, this is the Windows key, so the hotkey is going to be Windows N, and the action that will be triggered is that it will activate Notepad. So Winactivate is the command that will cause this program to activate with that. And Windows S will cause SDL Trados Studio to come into focus. Let's see if that works. So I'm going to save that. And after I save the script, I go here and double click to load it. And it's active now. So right now I'm going to press Windows N, and that brings Notepad into focus. And Windows S brings Studio into focus.
For those two examples, the program is already running. I'm not running the program, I'm just activating the window, so to bring it into focus. I use this line for this script here. Remember, Winactivate Excel. So I'm in Acrobat and I want to activate Excel. So that's why I wanted to explain that. Let's look at this script in action now. And here it is. So this is the script to copy text from PDF to Excel. And I will share this with you. It's very simple. Of course, you could type it out, but I will copy this and paste it in the chat right after we watch the video.
Here we have the script to copy text from PDF to Excel. The script will only work if Acrobat is active according to this directive here. And the hotkey will be Alt-Z. These are the actions that will be triggered after I press Alt-Z. So let's see how that works. I have Acrobat on the left, Excel on the right, and I start selecting my text and press Alt-Z. And again, and you can see how the text that I've selected is then pasted in Excel. And I could keep going like that.
So let me copy the script for you so you can have it and you can use it if you like that. Now I want to say that in the video, you saw me create a new script to add the hotkey to that script. You don't have to do that. You can have multiple hotkeys in the same file. I just wanted to repeat how to create the file, a new script. Now, here's another one that I really like. And when I was first starting how to use Hotkey, I really wanted to learn how to get an action that is a sequence or a loop to run. And so it turns out that in Hotkey, there is an action that is called a loop. And so I learned how to do that, and it has been extremely useful. And I often create little scripts to do that. So I want to share that with you today. This script, and I saw when I asked you earlier if you use Stratos, I saw someone say yes, but let me know in the chat, do you use Stratos? This will make sense for people who use Stratos or any other CAD tool for that matter. Because the demonstration is actually in a CAD tool. So yes, Irena, of course. Hanin, and I apologize if I don't know how to pronounce your beautiful names. Yes. Okay, well, for Stratos users, this is going to make a lot of sense. And so this is a loop, and this is what it looks like, but you can create your own loops by simply changing this text here, and I will explain how to do that later. But let me just explain very briefly how this works, or explain how this is created, and then we're going to watch the video, and then I will paste this in the chat for you. So this script, what this script does, look, I put a semicolon and then a description here to remind me of what it does, right? What it does is it adds a period at the end of a segment and confirms the segment. So first I start with the directive. If Winactive, Stratos Studio, my hotkey that I selected, you can change it or select the one you like, is the Windows key followed by the V. And this part here, you don't have to worry about that, but this is just to show me a message window that will ask, how many times do you want to run the sequence? Because depending on the number of times that I enter here, the sequence of steps here will be run that number of times. And so this, again, like I said before, you don't have to be a super programmer to be able to do this. I didn't actually write this part. I found it online. I looked on the forums and I said, how can I create a loop? And then I found that you could add this to determine the number of times that the loop will run. So I just copied it here, adapted it by adding this question here. And so that means the loop is going to be run, but before the loop runs, this is going to be the loop. I'm going to this number of times, depending on this variable that I enter here. You don't need to worry about that. You can simply copy this and change the steps here, and that will run your loop. The steps that are going to be run in a loop are the following. Send control page down. In Stratos Studio, control page down will send the cursor to the end of the segment. Then sleep 200, wait 200 milliseconds, send a period, and then sleep 200, and then send control enter. So go to the end of the segment, type a period, confirm the segment. And this sequence of actions is going to be run a number of times, however many times I say it needs to be run when the question pops up. And then that's the end of the script, and it's only going to work in Stratos Studio. So if I press Windows V in any other program, this is not going to run, only in Stratos Studio. Let's watch the video. I'm here in Stratos Studio, and I have several segments that need a final stop, a period at the end of the segment. And the sequence I want to run is I want to add a period and then confirm the segment, go to the next one, add the period, confirm it, and so on. So my script, my hotkey is Windows V, and there it is, and I'm going to say 6. How many times do I want to run the sequence? 6 times, okay. And we see how it's being run. And so the period has been added and the segments have been confirmed. Right, so you saw how that works. Now, if you want to create a variation of this script to run a different sequence of actions in a loop, only change this here and that will work. So I'm going to copy this for you here in the chat. There it is. And like I said, again, you can copy that, change the hotkey, and change the steps here, and that will run a loop on your steps that you have selected. For example, I don't know, when I'm doing editing, sometimes I need to, if I'm in Trado Studio, I need to capitalize every segment or change the initial to lowercase in every segment. So first I will filter all the segments that start with the wrong case, and then I will very quickly create a hotkey, run a loop, and it does it automatically. I don't have to be clicking and changing things one by one. So that's another example. Do we have any questions? Oh, you like it. I'm glad you like it. So loops, remember, loops are important, and they can be very helpful for repetitive actions. Now, the next one that I want to share with you is you can also search, for example, automatically search an online dictionary. This example here is for lookup in Lingui. So you can do that for in any program or any website where you want to run a search. And I'm going to explain what you have to do in a moment. But let me just show you. This is, let's look at the syntax to understand the script, and then I will explain what you need to do to make it work in any online dictionary that you want. So for this one, you can probably understand already that the hotkey is Alt-L. And so the first few lines, the first two lines are to preserve the clipboard. And this is something that I really have to remind myself to do because, like I said, I'm not a programmer and I don't always remember. But someone recommended once that before you do any operations with the clipboard, it's a good idea to preserve the old clipboard, whatever you had in the clipboard before, and then restore it at the end so that your search doesn't get saved or doesn't stay in the clipboard, and you can still access whatever you had in the clipboard. If that doesn't matter to you, then you can omit the first two lines and the last one here. But if you want to preserve the clipboard, then just copy these lines and add them at the beginning and at the end whenever you do clipboard operations. This is a clipboard operation because we're going to send Control-C. Now the comma here, you can add the comma or omit the comma, it doesn't matter. But I'm going to send Control-C to copy the selected text. And then this command, clip wait, is just to tell the program AutoHotkey to wait until there is something in the clipboard. Because if the whatever you have selected didn't get copied to the clipboard, then that would cause the entire operation to fail. So wait until there's something in the clipboard. And as soon as there's something in the clipboard, run. These are all commands. Remember, send, clipboard, clip wait, run are commands in AutoHotkey. Run this website. And this last part here is called, this is a variable. It's called a variable. %, clipboard, %. That means whatever's in the clipboard. So it's going to, this is, of course, I do Spanish English. That's my language pair. And so this is the website for Lingui in Spanish. But you can, I'm going to explain in a second actually how to make that relevant for you. But whatever search you run, at the end, make sure that you have this variable so that it will send whatever is in the clipboard, go and find that in the website. And then sleep 200, and this is restore the clipboard, right? Whatever the clipboard had before I started running this operation. Let's see how it works. So I'm going to, here. I'm going to copy this, the whole thing, and I'm going to go to our script that we have been creating. And I'm going to paste it here. And so I'm going to save that, save the script. And this is going to run because I didn't say that it would need to be, I'm reloading the script. I didn't say that this needed to run only in a specific program, right? So I'm going to be able to run it from anywhere. So I'm going, let's say shoe. I'm going to select the word shoe here in Word and press Alt-L. And this is probably, it's opening in a separate window. Let me bring it here. Here it is, right? That's the word shoe, and that's the lookup in Lingui. Oh, look, and I even got shoes here. So let's try another one. Yes, let's try another one. I'm going to use the word, say the word song. select the word, Alt-L, and then that will activate Lingui, and it will look up the word song and give me the translation. Now, here's what I recommend for your language pair. Let's say that your language pair is, I don't know, this one, Spanish, German, right? This is what you do. Go to whatever dictionary that you want to include in your lookups, and then look for a word, any word here. For example, kitchen. Oh, sorry, of course not. Cocina, that means kitchen. Okay, so I looked up the word, and then look at what you have here. Select that, all of this here, copy that, and then take it to your script and paste it here. But at the end, instead of the word that you looked up, make sure that you say clipboard, question mark, clipboard, question mark, because remember, that's the variable that tells the program to go and find whatever is in the clipboard, right? So now I'm going to save it, and I'm going to reload it. And I'm going to look up another word, but it has to be in Spanish. So I'm going to say casa, which means house in English. And I'm going to Alt-L. And now it's doing the Spanish to German search because I'm using this now. So for whatever website you want to do a search in, do a manual search, find the text that needs to be replaced with the clipboard, and use that in your script, and that will work. Now, you could potentially run multiple searches in multiple websites at the same time if you with the same shortcut. If you add other commands here, run, and then another place where you do a lookup for anything, any dictionary. So let me go back here, and let me see if we have any questions. These questions are not, they're about something else, right? Okay. Well, that's for doing searches in an online dictionary. So what I'm going to do is, did I send you already? No. Okay, so I'm going to paste in the chat so you can copy that. I'm going to paste this, and I already explained how you can adapt that. Oh, yes. There's a question here about, do I use the web lookup plugin in Studio? I do, Irina. I actually do. And I still use, I have 3 websites that I use for searches outside of the web lookup plugin, just when I don't want to use up the space on screen for the plugin. But yes, the web lookup plugin is marvelous, and you can customize it, of course. So that's for searching an online dictionary. Now, hotkeys can also be used to open files, folders, or programs. And the directive to do that is run. So for example, I'm going to show you these 3 examples. When you want to use your own programs or your own, open your own files, folders, or programs really quickly. This is, for example, the file that I showed you earlier, that is the PDF with the key list for AutoHotkey. This is how I can open that very quickly. I have it saved here in this is the path. So just make sure that you find the path for the file that you want to use, and then assign a hotkey to it. In this case, it's Windows K. Use the directive run, and then the full path. And let me show you how that is done. Oh, sorry. So here we go. I'm going to copy this and put it in my right here. Add it to my script and save it. And then I'm going to reload it. And from here, I'm going to press the Windows key and the K. And that went and opened the file that I indicated, right? You can also run, so that's for opening a file. You can also, as we see here, you can run, when you use the run command, you can open a folder. So I said that I have a folder where I have all my AutoHotkey scripts. This is the path to the folder. So I just say whatever my, let me copy that and I will explain. I will just say what I want to use as my hotkey. In this case, the Windows key followed by the numerical pad 0. And that's going to run this folder. That's going to open the folder. So I'm going to show you how that works. So I've just added it here to the script, save it, reload the script. And now I'm going to press the hotkey, which is the Windows key and the 0 in the numerical pad. And that immediately opens my folder where I have my AutoHotkey scripts. The run directive is also good for running programs, of course. This, the scroll lock key on your computer is, I don't know if you use it, but I never use it for anything. So I have it mapped to open the calculator. So let me show you how that works. I have just added it here. I'm going to save that, reload the script. And now if I press the scroll lock key, that opens the calculator immediately, right? And these two, of course, are of no use to you, but I'm going to share this one with you right now. And you can use that to run anything. Of course, again, this is for running the calculator. You can use it to run any program, and you can change the hotkey to run anything else. But the idea is that when we use the run directive, we can open files, specific files, we can open specific folders or programs. Do we have any questions so far? Here's a little bonus tip. You're probably getting tired of having to reload that script every single time that you have to add something to it. So, it is invalid in Lebanon. What do you mean, the program? I'll wait to hear more about that. But as a bonus tip, to automatically reload your scripts, I will explain how you can do that. In Notepad++, you can create a little script so that the script will be reloaded automatically. The directive or the command to reload your script is reload. So notice how I made this directive, if Winactive, Notepad++, and then Control S is, of course, what I use to save the file. But if I add this little character at the beginning, which is a tilde, then that's going to be used as a hotkey pass-through. So that means the actions that are normally used, that are normally done when you do Control Save, are going to be executed, plus any actions that you add here in the script. So when I do this, the tilde followed by Control S, the program is going to be saved, the file is going to be saved, but also this action reload is going to be run. And that's return the end of the script and if Winactive. So for that to work, you need to copy this and add it at the beginning of your script here. And so when I save with Control S, that immediately reloads the script, and I don't have to be reloading every single time I add something to it. So this is something that will act only, that will be executed only in Notepad++. Okay, so this is the little bonus tip for reloading your scripts. Now, I have 10 AutoHotkey scripts for Trados Studio, which I will happily share with you in a separate file, so you can just save it and load it. But for those of you who use Trados, I want to show you the kinds of things that you can do in Trados. So I'm going to play a short video that shows these scripts. These are the scripts: capitalize and uncapitalize a word, change an entire segment to uppercase, select from cursor to end of segment, copy source and confirm, move the cursor out of the way, quick access to project TM settings, explore the containing folder, filter on repetitions, copy selection to filter search box and filter. This actually has become irrelevant because that shortcut has been added to the latest version of Trados Studio. copy selection from source to target. So let's see these in action. And in the meantime, I'm going to read your comments here in the chat.
This is an AutoHotkey file that includes 10 scripts for SDL Trados Studio and can be the starting point to continue adding more to it. I'm going to demonstrate these scripts, and I just want to say that there is a combination of hot strings and hotkeys in this script. For example, this one is a hot string, but it triggers all these actions here. And that means that in order to activate this hot string, I have to press TM and then spacebar. But this one is a hotkey, so that's Alt and the left mouse button, and that's how that will be activated. This one is also a regular hotkey, Alt X, and so on. There is one here where I wanted to show you something. This one here, which is also hot strings to activate a number of actions, to trigger a number of actions. There's two hot strings assigned to the same script, to the same actions. That's possible. You can add more than one hotkey or more than one hot string to the same action. And you can use either one. So let's see these scripts in action. I have a subtitled file here loaded in SDL Trados Studio. I'm not going to translate it. I'm just going to copy over some text from source to target to demonstrate the scripts. So for the first script, we're going to capitalize or uncapitalize a word really quick by using Alt X. So I'm here and I want to make that capitalized. Alt X, that's the job, Alt X. And if I click Alt X again, it will remove the initial capital. I can also change the entire segment to uppercase with another script that is Alt Z, another hotkey. And if I press Alt Z again, it will change the entire segment to lowercase. I can also select, I'm going to select a longer one. I'm going to copy this one here. And I can select from the cursor to the end of segment. So for example, if I place my cursor there, the script says if I press Alt D, that will select to the end of the.
Let me just double, oh yes, so the sound is clear. I think I saw someone say that there was no sound. Okay, let me just resume the video.
No, it's clear.
Segment. I can also combine two actions. For example, we often have to copy a source to target and then confirm, and that's two separate shortcuts that we have to press. But with the script here, I have combined both into a single hotkey, and the hotkey is Alt E. So I'm going to use Alt E now and ignore that error message. But you can see how the text was copied over and confirmed with a single shortcut or hotkey, which is Alt E. Now, often when I'm working, I will leave my mouse there, and you can see how that gets in the way. The script that solves that is pressing the insert key, which will cause the mouse pointer to move all the way up to the top of the screen, and so that you can continue working. So for example, let's say that I have the cursor there and I have the mouse here. I can just press insert, and that will move the pointer, the mouse pointer, out of the way, so I can start working here and typing whatever I need to. For the next one, we're going to gain quick access to the translation memory settings, and in order to do that, remember we said TM spacebar, and that will very quickly bring me to my translation memory settings. I'm going to close that, and the next one is going to give me access to the containing folder, so I'm going to press ECF spacebar, and that will open the containing folder for my project, for the target language for my project. That's the same as if we were to press this button right here. I'm going to go back to the editor, and for the next one, I'm going to filter on repetitions. I want to see if there's any repetitions here, so I'm going to press Alt R, and that will very quickly filter on repetitions. Normally what I would need to do is go to the Review tab, go to the Display filter, and then select Repetitions All, but this script does it very quickly just by pressing Alt R. For the next one, I'm going to copy some text and use it, paste it here in the text box in the in the text box for the display filter and press enter all at the same time by using a script, and the hotkey to do that is F2. So I'm going to press F2. Oh, sorry, I didn't select the text. I'm going to select some text here and then F2. And you can see how it's pasted here, and I am presented with the properly filtered segments. And for the last one, I'm just going to go over here to any segment, and it's going to be copying the selection from source to target. So for example, let's say I don't want to copy the entire segment, I just want to copy for some reason these two words. Then the hotkey is Alt plus a left click. I do that and it copies that text over to the target.
So these are some scripts for Trados Studio. I'm going to share the file with you. So if you give me a moment, for those of you who want to use that those scripts, I'm going to share a Dropbox link where you can download it and you can start using it right away, and just have a look inside the file to, and just give me a second there. Just have a look inside the file to see the shortcuts, but now you understand what they're like, and you can even change them if you would like to use a different shortcut or a different hotkey. So there it is, and you can just download that and start using them right away and adding more to them, of course. Now, I would like to finish by saying that there are a lot of resources online where we can learn more about AutoHotkey. There is the wonderful AutoHotkey community where most of the people there are programmers. And so it's just a matter of asking our questions in a way that they understand, and they will help us with whatever thing we need to do. So I will, whenever I have a question and I'm not sure how I can do something that I want to do, I will go here on the AutoHotkey community and go right here where it says ask for help. And that's where, just send your question and people will answer. There is also, if you are a Trados Studio user, there is an AutoHotkey forum in the former SDL community, now the RWS community, where if you go to the forum, there are a lot of AutoHotkey scripts that have been developed by users like myself and many, many other more knowledgeable people who share them on the community. And you can just go in and download the scripts and use them. There is a lot of stuff in there that's very helpful. And lastly, I have a blog. You can find it here, noradiaz.blogspot.com. And these are some of the articles that can help you with this. So I have the links to some of this, but I'm just going to share one of the links, and from there, I'm sure you can find the other articles as well. So I'm sharing with you in the chat right now the link to this article that is how to create your own macros with AutoHotkey, and you can follow the steps. It's step by step. There's also another one for adding terms to a secondary term base using an AutoHotkey script for Trados users. If you are an interpreter, there's a very short one there about text expansions for interpreters to communicate in the booth, and a couple of others that are also for Trados. And that's all I have. I really want to thank you for your time and your attention. And these are my social media in case you'd like to be in touch. I am in touch already with some of you, and that is wonderful. And I always enjoy talking about technology and about automation and productivity. And let me just make sure that I'm getting the questions. Someone said that this is, yes, I see a raised hand. Are we able to open microphones to ask the questions directly? Can we do that?
Yes, we will do it.
Okay, go ahead. So we have a question from Kobla. Go ahead and ask your question.
Hello.
Hi.
It's very nice to have you today.
Thank you.
And I have a question that is maybe I know that hotkey is not that easy, but your way of explaining it was phenomenal. And I have a question to you. Will you have other sessions
Oh, I'm sorry, you're breaking up. I'm not getting the question.
like this, but in linguistics? My question is that will you have other sessions about linguistics and translation or not?
I'm sorry, I didn't get that. It was breaking up.
My
Maybe you can type it out for me in the chat.
The question is that I want to have more sessions with you, but in linguistics and in translation more.
Oh, okay. Other sessions, other training sessions?
Yes.
Yes. The areas where I train is I do training on things like using Trados, which is probably the main thing that I do. And then I also do sessions on technical things like productivity, regular expressions, speech recognition. So yes, I'm always happy to help with anything that I can. So yeah, of course, contact me and we can arrange something.
Yeah,
I'll
but
be happy
also,
to do it.
then we're waiting from Translators Union to have you again here with us.
Oh, please, yes.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
thank you so
Yes,
much.
if you invite me again, I'll be happy to come again.
Yes, I guess that I really liked it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that, Koba. Do we have any other questions or comments? I think I saw a question about hot strings and hotkeys, but I'm not sure. Oh, okay. Hot strings are commands that you add and hotkeys are keyboard abbreviations. Well, yes, you could see it that way. Hot strings are expansions for text and hotkeys are combinations like shortcuts, to run sequences of actions. Thank you, Irina. I'm seeing that she liked it. Even you're also already a user of AutoHotkey, Irina. You could probably help me teach this class. How can you get in touch with me? Yes, please contact me on social media. I will, let's see, my Twitter handle is this, and then you can find me on LinkedIn with my name, and then on Facebook, I'm also, you can find me like that. I think it's that's the one for Facebook. Let me see, we have other questions. Thank you for your kind comments, everybody. The ones that I can understand. How can you be informed of the other sessions? Well, if we do anything through Translators Union again, I'm sure you will hear about it. I usually, on my social media, I will post whenever I'm doing anything for somebody else. So if you follow me on social media, you will see any other webinars that I'm doing. I will advertise them there. Thank you all so much. And well, we don't seem to have any other questions. So I think we are ready to wrap up. You can find me on, yeah. Yes, I'm sure you'll be able to find me on social media. Yes, we have a question. Go ahead.
Ms. Nora, it was
Hello.
great having you with us. Thank you so much for all the precious information and for your time. It was an amazing session, and Translators Union is honored to have you with us. We can't wait to have you in other sessions, and thank you for your time and effort.
Thank you so much. That's very kind of you. And please, if you liked it, give me a shout out on social media. That's always helpful for others to see that AutoHotkey is not impossible to learn. It's actually very easy.
Of course we will. Thank you so much again.
Thank you. Thank you all. Well, I think we've come to the end of our time together. And I wish you a very nice evening because I know it's very late for you there. For me, it's
Yeah.
only the middle of the day. It's 1:30 p.m. So it's about lunchtime.
Thank you so much, Nora. We want to see you another time in another workshops together.
Thank you. I hope so too.
Thank you so much. And good night to you all. And thank you for your passion with us. Good night.
Bye-bye.